Maggie. Um, and some, thank you. Sometimes when we have a little instability in our pelvis, whether it's a little pelvic torsion where one side of your pelvis is kind of rolled forward, or and the other side's rolled back, or maybe one hip is hiked up and higher than the other. A lot of times we can get the SI joint can get a little bit uncomfortable. So remember that our sacroiliac joints are meant to be very sticky. The articulating surface, where the two joints, where the joint meets, where the sacrum and the pelvic bone meet, is very, it's like Velcro. It's bumpy and cratered. It's not a smooth glide joint like your ball and socket joints of your shoulder, or a hinge joint like your elbow. It's a rough joint articulating surface, which means that that joint is supposed to be very stable and very not mobile. So there's a very little play in the SI joint. It's supposed to have just the teeniest bit of movement for, that range of motion of walking and pelvic movement. So when you practice back bends, sometimes the lift of your sacrum can kind of help stabilize those SI joints and put them into place. But that's only sometimes. Sometimes back bends aggravate your back. So you have to really kind of dance with this in your own way. So just like I said before, if a practice is not serving you, try to really pay attention and go slowly so that you can modify. So whatever I'm putting out there, if it's not working for you, please, please, please do something different. And if you need help all of you are very experienced yogis, but if you need some advice on, that's not working for me, that's hurting me, then just ask and I'll see. It's difficult in this forum because I can't see you, but and it's always worth an ask if you're not sure what to do. Okay, so let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to get into a comfortable seated position and pay attention to how your pelvis is feeling. Can you close your eyes for a moment and feel the grounding of your pelvis? And notice your legs if they're crossed, are they always crossed this way? Maybe for something new in your body to kind of heighten that awareness, change the cross of your legs, put the other leg in front, and just see what changes, what happens when we step away from that habituated posture. And then, of course, when you're sitting cross-legged, things aren't exactly perpendicular or parallel. But just pay attention to which sit bone tends to have more weight. Do you have a sense of one side of your pelvis forward from the other or higher than the other? And don't worry if you find discrepancy. It's normal in a posture like this to not be totally even, but just bring your awareness into the subtleness of how your pelvis is in space. Allow yourself to relax down, let your roots grow, feel your legs surrender. And from that broad support of your pelvis, let your spine rise upward. And let's not strive too hard where there's tension or gripping in our breath or diaphragm, but just enough to feel spacious and open. Feel your collarbones kind of broaden and your shoulder blades slide down. Sense of your arms, your arm bones, your upper arm bones kind of hanging back just a little bit instead of our habituated forward posture. Allow the ears to land over your shoulders. Come into the experience of breathing. So you don't have to change anything, but just pay attention, notice. You observe the inhale and feel a little bit of ease and relaxation come on your exhales. Place our hands together. And just as you feel your palms touching each other, can you feel that centering right down through the center of your body as well? Through the eyes, the third eye, all the way through the center line. From this grounded and centered place, create an intention. Let's release the hands. Find your way onto your back. So as you get ready for moving in your practice, let's start with stillness. Okay, so lie down, let your whole body find just a little mini few seconds of Shavasana, and let all the weight of your bones drop down. And again, feel, kind of take an assessment of how you are. Is there anything that's troublesome in your body today that you need to care for? Is there anything feeling really good that you would like to celebrate? You just need a good old fashioned coming home into the body and moving around, loosening up a little bit. Just pay attention to what you feel like you might need in your practice today. Stretch your arms now, overhead. Oh, maybe you want to yawn. Maybe you want to stretch one side and then the other. Just let your body open up and enjoy the beginning of cultivating freedom. All right, knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug. Rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. All right, let's circle the knees. So hang on to your knees. Pay attention while you're here to what your sacrum is feeling, what your pelvis is feeling. See if you can just allow ease to happen in your hip joints. And then let's roll the other way. So kind of feeling that freedom of movement across your pelvis. Relax your belly. And then let's open the knees away from the midline and back in. Enjoying the hip joints. Then any kind of movement that feels good. Move your knees separately from each other or in together, whatever feels good. And then right knee, hug snug into your body and stretch your left leg long on the ground. Move about your ankles, so get that warming of your lower legs to begin. Head is heavy. So much of the time we can anticipate the need for our neck and shoulders. Let's let them relax. Change sides. Take your left knee in and right leg long on the ground and feel free to move about. That leg down. Stretch out to a star. Extend your limbs nice and wide. Reach into your fingers and your toes. Let's flex our feet while we're here. So with your legs wide, toes straight up toward the sky, and internally rotate your whole leg, both sides, a little bit, all the way from the hip joints. And then externally rotate your legs all the way from the hip joints, keeping your feet flexed. And one more time, internally rotate as much as your body can with your legs this wide, and then externally rotate. And then bring your knees back in toward your chest. Pick up your head if you want to. Give a good hug. And then relax your head back down onto the ground. And let's come into a little bit of twisting. Feet are hip width apart or wider, your choice. And let's just windshield wiper your knees, kind of dropping to one side and then dropping to the other. Neutral pelvis, feet on the ground. Move your hips over to the right, lift your knees up,
and drop them to the left and start to feel your full spine have a twist. Turn your head as well. Breathe deeply here. We're going to move your shoulder just a little bit. So as you drop your arm down by your hip, turn your head to the left. And as you slide the hand on the ground in a big arc over your head, turn your head to the right. Just a little bit of movement in the neck and shoulder here. Few passes. Relax and bring your legs back to neutral. Shift your hips over to the left. Knees come up and drop to the right and open up your chest. Turn your head to the left. Find your breath. And then we're going to have that movement when you're ready. So go ahead and turn your head right as your arm comes down at your side. And then turn your head left as your arm arcs up over your head. Breathing fully while you're here. Then come back to the neutral plane, feet flat on the ground, and we're going to lift our pelvis just the smallest bit. So just over your hips off the ground, ground your feet into the earth, the four corners or three corners, so big toes, pinky toes, either two sides of heel or center of heel, whichever is like a nice, steady, stable place for you to be. Now notice which side is stronger. Do you have a sense that you have a dominance, that you lift from one side? Then let's lower the pelvis back down. We're going to do a little more full bridges here with arms too. Inhale, pelvis comes up, arms overhead, and then lower your pelvis down, arms down to your side. Notice if that dominance is living in you still. See what it feels like to just pay attention to how your body wants to lift before we start manipulating how we lift. More time. Arms overhead, pelvis comes up, and then lower your arms down and pelvis comes down. All right, pause here for a moment. We're going to do just some, lifting in, not in symmetry. So we're going to start with the right hip. So lift the right side of your pelvis first. Let the left side follow. Drop the right side down and let the left side follow. Arms stay at your sides. We're still grounding through our feet, but we're kind of waking up the iliacus muscle on the inner hip, your deep transverse abdominis, your psoas, but also your glutes and your outer hips. So we're just kind of swinging through this pelvic rotation in bridges. Come down and settle yourself in neutral again. And now we'll start lifting from the left. So the left hip up, followed by the right, then left hip down, followed by right. So, a little unusual pattern of bridge poses, but just see if you can feel a lot of the muscles that help you control the movement of your pelvis. It's a great way to kind of wake up your psoas, your iliacus, your transverse abdominis, your glutes. Lots of things are kind of coming into play here. All right, then relax and feel neutral. Let your pelvis drop into the ground. And then we're going to lift up simultaneously to a full bridge. It doesn't matter how high you go. It can be 1 inch off the ground. It can be many. Round into the four corners of your feet. Feel your glutes turn on. Hug your inner thighs, so move with your feet to feel the muscles of your legs. So pull your feet toward each other to light up your inner thigh muscles. Push your feet away from each other to feel your quads turn on. pull your feet toward each other to feel your hamstrings and glutes turn on. And then pull your feet away from each other, feel your outer hips turn on. And then lower your body back down. Windshield wiper your knees, left and right. All right, grab a block. And we're gonna stick this block between our thighs. We're just going to do this, we're gonna do it in two directions, hugging in and hugging out. But we're gonna keep our feet planted neutral instead of three different positions like we sometimes do. So feet are hip width apart. You can have the block wherever feels good, in between your thighs, higher up, just put it in a place and a distance that feels right. And take a deep breath in. Now as you exhale, ground your outer feet and hug the block. And then on the inhale, let that go. And on your exhales, ground the outer feet, draw your navel down, hug the block. Okay, we're imagining that stabilization of the whole pelvis. Relax on your inhales. Engage on your exhales. So this is, some deep work in the pelvic floor and the inner thighs and the transverse abdominis, in the iliacus, even in your low back muscles might feel this. So just find those little repetitions of hugging the block on the exhales and relaxing on your inhales. Notice if you have dominance, do you have one side that turns on faster, works harder, smarter, easier? Relax that. We're going to take the strap into a loop around our thighs. And if you don't have a strap, you can always use a belt or whatever you have, a scarf. Same, feet are hip width apart. We're not changing the position of our legs, but we are changing the angle of which we use the muscles. So now we're going to hug outward into the strap on the exhales and relax our legs inward on the exhales. Now, because when we push outward, we tend to go into our outer feet. Now keep the inner feet grounded. So the big toes and the inner heels are rooting, and we're going to press into the strap while keeping the inner feet rooted. Remember, this is a pulsation. So we want the exhales to be where we work, and we want the inhales to be where we relax. Stabilize your core. This is, we're working the deep low belly as well as the muscles all around your pelvis. Neck and head are nice and relaxed. Shoulders too. Easy to get trapped up to do the work on the inhale. Try to do the work on the exhale. Relax and take that strap off of there. Find the neutral again. Stretch to a star one more time. Reach into your fingers and your toes. And then exhale, knees into your chest, head comes up. One last stretch before we come off the ground. So cross right thigh over left thigh and draw knees toward chest. And be careful of what your low back is doing. So try not to push your low back into the ground. Teeniest little softening under there. Sit bones are wide and down. Head is heavy. And we're going to release that. You can bring your legs up or put them down, whatever feels good. Left thigh on top of right, knees draw in toward your chest. Wide sit bones, drop the tail, a little bit of gap under your low back, just a teeny bit of softness under it. Okay, release that. One more star. Stretch your limbs outward. Exhale, knees into your chest, give a hug, and then roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Okay. All right, let's start moving some cat-cows. So a beautiful arch in the back and a beautiful roundedness of the spine. Again, paying attention to what your body needs. Try to find what the endpoints are. Especially if you're having a little issue anywhere in your body, you may feel that you have to back off your range of motion. You might be having an amazing day where you feel really free in your body and your range of motion can be really broad today. So just follow what the body's saying. Know that every day is different. Follow the breath. And move the spine around any way you want. You can do some circles in the pelvis or shoulders or ribs or head or anything that feels good. Curl the toes under, stretch back towards child's pose, let the bottom of your feet open up. And then slide the hands forward on the mat or the knees back on the mat and come to puppy pose. So the hips stay high and the head and torso come down toward the ground. Breathing well into that back bend arch in the upper back. And then walk your hands and knees toward each other again, all fours. Lift the right arm up in the air. Let's find a twist. Exhale, slide that shoulder underneath, twisting to the side. Relax the shoulders, find the breath. Then inhale, reach that arm all the way up in the air. The hand comes down. Change sides, arm lifting up. Exhale, slide that arm through. Breathing well. Feel your back open. Feel the rib cage open. Let your head be neutral and relax. Inhale, reach that arm back up in the air. Hand down onto the ground. And back to child's pose. Hips are close or far or whatever feels good. Feel the tailbone drop toward the ground. Let's be here for a moment and feel into the pelvis here. So breathe your breath all the way down to your sacrum. Imagine that there is a hot air balloon under your sacrum on your inhale, that you're trying to lift the sacrum away from the floor and then drop the sacrum down toward the floor. Come back up onto all fours now. Let's find dog pose. So lengthen, stretch your legs, you can pedal your feet. You can bend your knees as much as you want to for this pose. Open your legs slowly with comfort. Find your breath. Thigh bones move back away from your shoulders. Feel that extension in your body. Soften your skull. Let's see what we can do to pull your feet apart from each other. So grab onto the mat and drag your feet apart and light up those outer hip muscles. Very good to use things like this for your SI joints usually. And then relax. And let's walk our feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Fold in half. Bend your knees as much as you want. Find your breath. Relax your neck. To get that full back body stretch, let's go ahead and grab onto the base of the skull with your hands and tuck your chin toward your chest. Release that. Come to a halfway lift. Lengthen through your spine. Spread open the bones of your feet, thigh bones back. Straight legs, open the backs of the knees. And then exhale and melt again. Rising on up, Feel your breath lifting to the sky with your arms. Big breath in, open things up. Let's cactus your arms if it feels good. Breathe well. Arms coming back up. Let's stretch back. So interlace your fingers. Maybe your index fingers point straight up. Hook your thumbs. Extend your arms up. Lift your rib cage off your pelvis. Maybe lean back a little bit here. And then open up your arms and cascade forward. Fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Get your spine to grow. Exhale and fold again. Let's step our left foot back. Right foot is in front, coming to a lunge. Lengthen through your spine. Let's start to move. Bending and straightening the front knee. Drop your chin toward your chest and lift your toes when you straighten your leg. And then bend your knee and open your chest. So this is a nerve floss for your sciatic nerve. If you are having currently in this moment a lot of sciatic nerve pain, you don't want to push deeply into that pain sensation. You just kind of want to meet where the sensation is so that you're not overdoing it. Sometimes we might think, oh, I just need to stretch my legs, I need to stretch my hips, I need to stretch my piriformis to kind of open up the channels for the sciatic nerve. But sometimes when we stretch, that taut stretched muscle can compress the nerve even more and aggravate sciatica. So we want to have a sense of ease when we do this if you struggle with that nerve pain, which I know at least one of you does. Okay, so press your feet down, rise up, okay, crescent lunge. Let's find the back bend that lives in this pose. Open your chest, lean back a little bit if you want to, stabilize your pelvis, use your core. You can always bend your back knee a little bit more if you need to. Press your front foot into the ground. And then exhale and release your hands down to the ground and walk your back foot forward. Come to Uttanasana, fold in half. Come to a halfway lift, extend your spine, and let's melt again. Let's step your other foot back. So now your left foot is in front and your right foot is behind. Come to a lunge. Again, you might need to modify in all sorts of ways. It might be better to put your knee down. There's so many ways that you can support the body on any given day. Remember to listen to pain signals. So if something hurts you in a joint or in a muscle or in a nerve, try to accept the boundary that is available to you today. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and start moving. When you're ready, you can straighten the front knee and bend the front knee if you want. When you straighten that front knee, perhaps you want to lift your toes and tuck your chin. Get that full stretch and then bend your knee again. Okay, so all nerve glides, the key to nerve glides is to move. If you hold those, that's no longer gliding and flossing along the nerve. So the key is to kind of touch into that extension and then move away from it. How's the breath? Ground your legs when you're ready. Lift yourself up. Crescent lunge. Arms can come up or not. Just find the pathway that works for you. Open the chest. Feel that extension. Press your front foot deep into the ground. Feel the opening of that back hip. When you're ready, hands down onto the ground. Dog pose. Extend through the spine. Full breath here. Feel the reaching in the body. Come forward into a plank when you feel ready. So nice and stable. Shoulders away from the ears. Breathing well. Knees come down to the ground if you need it. Find the floor. Roll the shoulders a couple times. Loosen things up. And find a back bend. Open the chest. Cobra pose. Melt. Unfold back down. Let's repeat one more time. Rising up.
Exhale to lower yourself back down. This time, over your hands, draw your elbows straight back toward your hips. Lift up, feel the work of the back of the body. Breathing well. Exhale, coming down. Come up on tall fours. Move your spine around to get rid of that posture out of your body. So we want to kind of release from back bends. Now take your left leg straight back behind you and engage your glutes, engage your hamstring. Let's bend our knee for a moment. Make a couple of footprints on the ceiling. So our foot is facing straight up toward the sky. Press it upward. So we're just turning on those glutes and hamstrings. And then slowly straighten your leg back out. The leg is still up in the air. Take the other arm. So your right arm is out in front of you, thumb up. See if you can hug your shoulder in the back of your body. Hug your shoulder blade tip and your glutes toward each other. So make that strap of support from right shoulder to left hip. Exhale and release the knee and hands back down. Let's change sides. Hands stay on the ground. Right leg straight back behind you. Engage your core, press your shin into the ground, find all the stabilization. Then when you're ready, bend your knee, foot up, facing up toward the sky. Make a couple of footprints on the ceiling. Keep stable in your core so you're not slouching in your back. And then straighten that leg. Feel the support. Hug onto your sacrum. And then reach your left arm out in front of you, thumb up. Feel your shoulder blade connect to your glutes. So left shoulder blade and right glutes find a crosshatch across your body. Breathing well. And then relax and bring your knee back down onto the ground. Cat-cow, arching the back, rounding the spine. Finding your breath. Now take your block and we're going to put it in between our shins. Okay. And now hug that block there for a moment. Find your breath. And see if it can help you turn on your pelvic floor muscles. Try to access your pelvis from lots of different angles, front, back, top, bottom. Okay, so feel that hugging. And we're going to do a couple of cat-cows here. On the inhale, relax the hugging. Lift your tail and head. And on the exhale, gently hug the block as you round the spine just a little bit. One more time, release a little bit of that tension. Tailbone up, head up. Exhale, round in and grab the block. All right, see if you can keep the block there. Curl your toes under and lift to dog pose. The block is, being hugged by your calf muscles. And so see if you can feel that gentle hugging in and at the same time pull your feet apart from each other. Try to light up a lot of different muscles. Then when you're ready, come forward into a plank, still hugging that block at your shins. Let it shine a light up through your pelvic floor. Breathing well. And then we're going to slowly waddle our feet forward to an Uttanasana. Block is still there. Then come squatting down for a chair pose. Block is still between our shins. So it's a little different than putting it between our thighs. Stretch your arms overhead for a full chair. Feel the back bend that lives in this pose. Gentle hug of the block. Pull your feet apart. Gentle hug of the block. Pull the feet apart. Lower your body down, your torso down. Put your hands on your outer knees. Push your outer knees into your hands. Hands into outer knees. And then relax and melt. Take away the block. Inhale, rising all the way up. Finding your breath. Trace down to the center of the body and pause here for a moment. Let's take our feet hip width apart so you feel that nice stable ground of your legs. Unlock your knees. Finding breath. Standing in Tadasana. Imagine you still have the block between your shins. And you feel the support of the pelvic floor. And now, arms lifting back up. Exhale and fold forward. Relax your head. The halfway lift, spine gets longer. Exhale, fold, left foot comes back. Plant your heel down onto the ground. Virabhadrasana 1, but staying low at first. Stretch your body, your torso forward, arms back. Triceps are engaged. Let your arms lift a little higher than your spine. Move your shoulders away from the ears, ground into the back heel, and connect it to the crown. And then reach the arms forward in front of you and start to rise up to Virabhadrasana 1. Open the back bend in your thoracic spine, but try to stabilize your core to help your low back. Engage your glutes in that back leg strongly. Press your foot into the ground. Both feet, both heels root down. Come out of your rib cage, lift it up off your pelvis. And then release your hands down. Back foot comes forward again. Fold, bear weight evenly. Step your other foot back. Okay, start Virabhadrasana 1 low with your torso instead of upright. Arms back behind you, palms facing the ground. Spread out your hands. Lift the heads of the arm bones. Feel your back spine work. Drop weight into your feet. Bring your hands forward. Lift them on up. Maybe interlace them the other way. Drop weight into both feet, both heels. Engage your right glutes. Feel the ribs lift off the pelvis. Breathing well. And release the hands down onto the ground. Bring your back foot forward, come to fold. Stand on your right leg. Lift the left leg up in the air, half splits. Engage the glutes again. Feel that sense of hugging onto the sacrum. Lengthen the spine. Take a deep breath in. Exhale to a Jiva squat. Tuck in. One-legged squat here, one-legged chair. Inhale, press it out again. One more time. And then place that foot down next to the other foot. We're going to stand on our left leg. Right leg lifts up in the air. Lift your left hip high. Extend your spine. Find your breathing. Use your glutes on both sides differently, but both sides. As you exhale, squat in. Tuck your chin down. Inhale and press it on straight. One more time. Exhale. And then inhale. Straighten up. Place that foot down onto the ground. Grab your block again. This time we're going to stick it between our thighs. Come to chair pose. Before you bring your arms up, squat down. Get your legs organized. Root down. Pull your feet apart from each other for a moment. Feel your outer hips turn on. And then ground 4 corners of your feet and reach your arms overhead for the back bend that lives in this pose. Try not to draw your ribs out. See if you can knit the ribs in, but we're not rounding the low back. There's a little tiny curve in that low back instead of rounding the back. Breathing well, hug the block. Come up onto your tippy toes. Bring your arms out to the sides for some balance, and then heels come down. Fold forward, keep the block. We're gonna move through vinyasa with the block. Inhale for a halfway lift. Imagine the block was rolling out backwards, so feel that inner spiral of the legs. Fold forward. Step back, wobble your way back. Jump back if you want, dog pose. Imagine the block was rolling out behind you, so a little inner spiral, sit bones get wide,
root through your hands and feet. Root to rise. Gentle hug with block. Isometrically pull your feet apart from each other. Come forward into a plank. Hold yourself nice and steady. Feel that block again. Come on to all fours. Find a cat-cow. Release the block. Come down onto your belly. Take your legs wide. So first just curl your toes under so your kneecaps lift up, so your whole leg lifts wide. We're going to do this in two different directions with the legs. First, let's try it with our legs, kneecaps and toes facing down. You get to choose whether you want your arms down at your sides, out to the sides, or up overhead. And we're going to lift everything on up. Feel that you're kind of hugging onto your sacrum with your glutes. Kind of, stabilize that joint. Imagine your muscles are the anchors that stabilize your SI joint. All right, and then melt and relax. Turn your head one side, pick up your feet, and windshield wiper your knees left and right. And now this second pass through this pose, this back bend, we're going to turn our legs out. So all the way from the thighs. So lift, curl your toes under, lift your knees off the ground so you can externally rotate your femur bones. So now when you lie down your legs, they're going to feel like you're resting on your inner knees. Okay, so just enjoy the external rotation for a moment. And when you're ready, same thing, arms can be in any position. And we're going to lift up from here. A good squeeze of those hips onto the bones, or hip muscles onto your bones. All your muscles, your glutes, your outer hips, everything hugging onto bone. And then relax and melt. Turn your head the other way, pick up your feet, and windshield wiper your knees. All right. Let's turn our head to the left. Bring your left knee high up toward your armpit and come to Sphinx arms, so forearms on the ground. And imagine a deep weight on the outside of your pelvis, dropping that hip toward the ground. Make sure your blocks are out of the way, because we're going to turn this into a twist. But first, just enjoy the deep compression in the hip. And when you're ready, right arm crosses over to the left, and then twist open and enjoy the chest opening here. The knee can leave the ground. Breathing well. Back around. Straighten that left leg. Now our right knee is going to come up high toward our armpit. Sphinx arms. You don't have to come very high with your chest. You can be low, whatever feels good. Obviously, this is very asymmetrical across the pelvis, but just enjoy what you're feeling. And we're going to cross the left arm over to the right and spin open to a twist on the ground. The knee leaves the ground. Breathing deeply. Enjoy the chest opening. Enjoy the twist. So on back. Come up onto all fours. Let's move the spine around here. Take your tail, move around in your spine, breathing well. Come to dog pose. Stretch out through your legs. You can pedal your feet again like we do in the beginning if you want. Just feel that sense of grounding and then lift and lengthen through your body. Feel your spine open. Thigh bones move back. Imagine a block between your thighs and pull your feet apart from each other. Relax and walk your feet forward. Last chair pose. Bring your feet together now. Squat down, inhale, arms come up, or maybe your arms come out. See what it feels like to just drop weight into your heels, feel your glutes turn on. And we're gonna so slowly, like we weigh, 2,000 pounds, we're gonna slowly stand up straight and tall. Open the chest. We're gonna find our way down to the ground, but first move through, arms lifting up, open the heart. Let's interlace your hands behind your back, open the chest, bend forward, let the shoulders open. And then release your hands to the ground and find the ground. Back to the bridge that we started with, but this time a little bit differently. Come down onto the ground. Stick a block between your thighs. Drop weight into your feet. We're going to inhale and lift up to this back bend. Open your shoulders, open your chest. Hug the block gently. You don't have to vice grip it, but just feel that you can engage a lot of the muscles to hug your muscles to your bones. Hug your muscles to your thigh bones. Hug your muscles to your pelvic bones. Hug your muscles to your sacrum. Find all the ways that we support with our muscular strength. Ground the four corners of your feet. Open the heart. Relax your pelvis down. Let's windshield wiper our knees. Left and right here. Find that opening in your breath. Okay, now we're going to stretch a little bit. One more back bend, and then we're going to stretch the hips. But we're going to try to stay on our back the whole time instead of flipping into pigeon pose. We're going to do reverse pigeon pose. But first, low block. Okay, underneath the sacrum, passive bridge. Now you get to decide. Maybe you want one leg to straighten. Maybe you want two legs to straighten. Maybe you want no legs to straighten and you'd rather just keep your feet on the ground. Maybe you want your arms to come up overhead. Maybe you don't. Okay, so find the pathway. If you're doing one leg at a time, make sure you switch legs. Breathe into the stability of your pelvis here. And I know that this isn't always the pathway to kind of help your pelvis and your sacrum if you're having some difficulty with your SI joints. Sometimes back bends don't feel it, but sometimes they do. Okay, so let's just now put your feet back on the ground, melt your pelvis. Off the block. Rest your hips on the ground. Maybe a little windshield wipering of your knees. We're going to come to reverse pigeon pose. I'm going to do this with my foot against a piece of furniture. Now you can either put your right foot on your left knee and grab onto your back of your left thigh with your hands or left shin, or you can do like I'm doing where you put your foot on a piece of furniture or a wall so you don't have to use your upper body. If this is too much of a stretch, you can either back up, go further away from the wall, or you can cross your thigh over your thigh for that stretch. So both are good. Just find the pathway that helps you open up your external hip rotators, your hip external rotators. Heavy head, relax your neck and shoulders. Let your breath come deeply into your body. And sit bones drop, the tail drops, slight little gap in your low back. change sides. So again, do the posture that works for you. Might be reverse pigeon, might be thigh over thigh, it might be foot on the wall, it might be grabbing on, see what feels good. When you get into the pose, if you feel like your pelvis is shifting around to try to accommodate, change something so that your pelvis can be in a very neutral place. Tailbone dips, the sit bones widen, shoulders are heavy. How's your breathing? Find Shavasana. However, and if you need some postures, like a happy baby pose or twist or anything, you do you. So, find the poses that you need in your body. And when you're ready, Shavasana can look so many different ways. You can have your legs on a bolster or on a chair or on the ground with a blanket underneath. You can be on your side, you can be on your belly. So just find the pathway that works. Shoulders melt. Feel the ease. Relax your body. Heavy head. Softness in your face and jaw. Go ahead and begin to deepen your breathing. Let the ground support you for a moment. Feel the balance in your pelvis. Fine. And to invite movement, however works for your body.
Eventually find your way to your side. Come up to sit. Or the gifts of our practice, send your energy forth to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.